Hello students. In this lecture, we will continue our series on the components of the blood. Let's continue where we left off last. In the last lecture, I indicated that the components of the blood were contained within a liquid. We did not give the name of the liquid in the last lecture, so we'll give it here. This liquid is called the plasma or plasma. So let's indicate that one here. And so here, the liquid or the fluid of the blood is the plasma. Let's next focus on our formed elements. We have three formed elements: the cells that are red, the non-red cells, and the cell fragments. The red cells are called red blood cells. The non-red cells are the white blood cells. And there are several different types of these. And our cell fragments are the platelets. Let's indicate those here. And so here, the red cells are the red blood cells. The non-red cells are the white blood cells, of which there are several. There are 5 to 7 white blood cells that we'll identify later. And the cell fragments are the platelets. Before we leave the formed elements, I want to say one more thing about the red blood cells. The red blood cells impart viscosity to the blood. Now, viscosity is one of those terms that's hard to define, but if I give you an example, you'll understand it. Honey is more viscous than water because honey has a resistance to flow. If you have a cup of honey and a cup of water, the cup of honey would pour more slowly. And so for this reason, we say that honey is more viscous than water. Also, blood is more viscous than water. So if you have a cup of blood and a cup of water, the cup of blood would pour more slowly. And so we say that blood has a higher viscosity than water. This viscosity of blood is imparted by the large number of red blood cells found within the blood. And so we're going to indicate that here. And so this is all we'll say about the formed elements. Let's next discuss the proteins. There are 3 groups of proteins found within the blood: the osmotic pressure protein, the pre-fiber segment proteins, and a group of the other proteins. The osmotic pressure proteins are called albumins, and we've already seen this one. The pre-fiber segment proteins, which are involved in clotting, are called fibrinogen, or this protein is fibrinogen. We've discussed this one before, but we did not identify the protein. So let's indicate those 2 here. The group of proteins here indicated as others are called the globulins. Some of them are small, some of them are medium-sized, and some of them have a large size. The small-sized globulins are called alpha globulins. The medium-sized ones are called beta globulins, and the large ones are called gamma globulins. The gamma globulins, which are involved in immunity, are known by 2 other names. The first one is immunoglobulins, and the second one is antibodies. So we're going to indicate those 2 here. That's all we'll say about the proteins. Let's next discuss the gases. We indicated 3 gases here: oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. Let's simply annotate those. And so the 3 gases found within the blood are oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen. Let's next look at our food components. When we eat food, the components of our food are broken down by the digestive system, and these components enter the bloodstream. These components are called nutrients. So let's indicate that one here. There are countless nutrients found within the blood. We'll identify 5 of them. Those will be glucose, amino acids, lipids, iron, and vitamins. Let's indicate those here. And this is all that we'll say about nutrients. Our next component in the blood will be the dissolved salts. Let's discuss those. Before naming this group, let's identify some of the ions of these dissolved salts found within the blood. There are numerous ones, but we'll only identify 5 of them: sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium, and chloride. Let's indicate those. These ions of dissolved salts are called electrolytes, and that is the name of the group. Some of the electrolytes found in the body are sodium, abbreviated Na+, calcium, Ca2+, potassium, K+, magnesium, Mg2+, and chloride, Cl-. These are our electrolytes. Our last group is going to be waste. This is the final component found within the blood, or the final one that we will identify. As with the others, there are many waste products found within the blood. However, we will only identify some of them, 3 of them. These are urea, ammonia, and bilirubin. Urea is probably the most important one and the most abundant one. Ammonia, I only indicate that one because you're familiar with what ammonia is. And the last one is bilirubin, because bilirubin was discussed along with jaundice in Anatomy and Physiology 1. So let's indicate those 3 here. And so these are the 3 waste components that I would want you to know: urea, ammonia, and bilirubin. And so this completes all the components found within the blood: the formed elements, the proteins, the gases, the nutrients, the electrolytes, and waste. Again, there may be more components in this, depending on the textbook you use, but we'll only identify these 6 or 7 if you include plasma. And so this concludes our second lecture on the components of the blood, and it also concludes our series of lectures on the blood components. I hope that you